Welcome back everyone. This is section 3, and in this section what I'm going to do is show you how to build your question papers for both your Quizmaster, including a marking sheet, and also for your teams of players. These are the resources that will be used on quiz night, handed around to your players and your teams, and be used to run your quiz. We're going to use the example of the quiz that we built in section 2, which was a music quiz. It had 3 rounds. It had a basic question round, which we called Potluck. It had a picture round, which we called Famous Dancers. And it had a sound round, dedicated sound round, which we called Intros. And we're going to produce the papers for that quiz. We use the Actions menu, and there's an option to prepare quiz papers. And this is the screen that gets opened. All the work is done on this screen. The first thing you do is select the quiz that you're interested in. We're going to choose that music quiz that we set up for the 31st of October. And when we do that, the first thing that happens is that its content is analysed and displayed on the left-hand side of the screen here. So this is telling us that this quiz has 1 general round, 1 picture round, 1 sound round, and a total of 32 questions in it, 2 10s and a 12. Over here on the right hand side, to the right of that content listing, this is the section where you would decide what type of output you're wanting to produce. So for example, in this particular demonstration, I'm just going to produce the Quizmaster's papers, so I'll tick that. I could add in the players' papers and a marking sheet if I chose, but for the time being it's just going to be the Quizmaster's papers. I'm going to leave the orientation as portrait, although I could switch it to landscape if I chose. And I'm going to output my print to, I could send it to a printer, but I'm going to send it to my PDF writer. So we'll get an electronic copy of these papers that we could then print out separately if we chose. So from there then, what we then do is I'll explain the details for these picture pages a little bit later, but for the time being we're just going to print that to the PDF. You're asked to specify a name of the file, so I'm going to save it onto my desktop, and I'm going to call it test.pdf, and I click save, and then off it goes and produces those papers. So if I just go to my desktop and I find the file that's just been created, here it is, and I open it, and what we see is a file that includes all of the questions that you've set up in your, firstly, your potluck round 1, and each question has in large font the question itself, underneath which you have the answer plus any answer information, any supporting information. So the actual answer to this question is 9 to 5, but you could, if you chose, inform your audience that this song was by Dolly Parton. You're only asked to provide the title, that's why that's done there. And then specifying here how many marks. The second question then shows where we used in section 2 an edited mark. So we could specify here that even though the correct answer of 1963 gives us 1 mark, then this piece of information here that we added was for the Quizmaster to tell the audience that if they get the answer 1 year out, 1 year either side, then they'll get half a mark for that. And then there's the rest of the questions working down the list. If we then come on to round 2, now this is an example of a dedicated round. It's a dedicated sound round. So the common question is asked from the Quizmaster's point of view. The common question is asked every time. Name the artist and the song title. Again, the answer and the mark is specified with each question, but it's the same question each time. But then we come on to round 3, which is the dedicated picture round. And what we then have from the Quizmaster's perspective is a list of all the pictures of the dancers in this particular example with their names underneath. So the quizmaster has that listing in front of them that they can then use when delivering the quiz. So what you can see here then is that with a very few simple clicks of the button, selecting your quiz, you can produce very professional looking quiz papers pretty much at the click of a button. Okay, so I'm just going to close that. Back to quiz time. Back to my prepare quiz papers screen, just to then show you the process of producing the players' papers. So again, you select the quiz that you're interested in. This time, instead of the quizmaster's papers, I'm going to select the players' papers. Again, I'm going to leave this as portrait orientation, but it could be landscape if I chose. And again, I'm going to output to the PDF. So when I then hit print, again I'm asked to choose where I'm saving to. I'm going to overwrite the file that I previously produced, test.pdf, and save it to there. Yes, I do want to replace it. And there you go. So again, back to my desktop. Now look at my test file. And this time it looks very different because you don't have the questions for the players, obviously. You have answer slots where they can provide their responses. So there's your round 1. There's round 2 for your intros. And for the picture round, what they get is the same set of pictures as the quizmaster gets, but just spaces again for their responses to be entered. Also at the end of each round, or on each round as well, so you can see on the potluck round here, there's a space for the response from the team, but then when the quiz is being marked, there's a space on the right hand side where the mark can be awarded. At the end of each round, there's a total marks. And then for the pictures as well. Okay, so again, very quick, very easy, very simple to produce the papers for the teams. Back to quiz time. And then lastly, what we've got from the paper preparation point of view is the marking sheet. And this is a standard marking sheet. It doesn't have options for change of format. It is literally just as it is. So again, print it to a PDF. Again, overwrite the file that I've already got. It defaults, incidentally, to landscape in this particular report, this particular output. So when we open it now, that's how it appears. You have up to, I think it's 14 team names. Obviously you can print more than one of these if you wish, if you've got multiple teams, many teams, and up to 10 rounds per quiz, which is probably as many as you're ever likely to encounter. So in here then you would just record each team's marks per round, total, and place them on this sheet here. This can actually be done a lot more simply on screen, which is what we'll show you when we run the quiz in section 4. But this is an option for a paper-based marking solution. So I'll close that. Back to quiz time. Okay, so just one other thing to explain, and that is that on the preparation screen there is an option to reverse the orientation of the quiz papers. So the quizmaster papers now could be shown as landscape instead. The picture round here, 12 questions, you could change that to 6, so it's 6 per page rather than 12 per page. When you print that report now with the orientation changed, very much as was, apart from, sorry, I picked the wrong. I actually output that report to a different file type rather than PDF by mistake, so my apologies for that, but the result will be very much the same. So what we've now got is the reverse format. We've got the landscape format rather than the portrait format. Other than that, it's identical. If we come down to the pictures, which is where this is most applicable, you can see that they're reversed onto a landscape format. Okay. So that's it. That's how you prepare your quiz papers for both your question master and for your teams. That's the end of section 3. In section 4, we'll show how to run a quiz on screen. Thank you.